It's Friday. It's time for another truck news recap. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. In these truck news recaps, recap some hot topics of the week, some news stories I saw. Didn't quite make a full video, and we'll give you guys some behind the scenes information, what's going on in the channel and what's going on with the business. In this case, we have a big update for you this week. We have Managing Editor Jill Ciminillo will be part of a two-person team taking the new Ram RHO through the Rebelle Rally. This is a long distance women's navigational off road rally and women's only, and they only can use like a protractor and a pencil and a map. They no GPS, no anything. We'll get more details about that. We'll also talk with you about how Consumer Reports has declared that GM trucks are less safe than the competition and why that's raising some eyebrows. Also, have some details for one of the big sites in my world, and maybe you've been to this website as well, is it in effect closing down, which is unfortunate. Then we'll get the news stories for this week. We'll talk a little bit more about the Ford recall that was going out this week, and we'll do some more with the Land Cruiser towing. I have a slight update on that as well. So let's go to the news. It's over here. We're going to start with carbuzz.com. Our friends Nicole Wakeland was a friend of the site. She wrote this up for Carbuzz. It was a part of an agreement they made that they're going to run it here first, and so I'm putting it on the screen. So, and my lord, if you think I have ads, Carbuzz is throwing me tons of ads. So the 2025 Ram 1500 RHO, which you see an image of, sorry for those on the podcast who can't see the same image, is pretty badass. It's through desert sands. And the story is about our very own, like I said, Jill Ciminillo and her friend Kristen Shaw, who's been on this program as well. It's a 1,500-mile course through the deserts of California and Nevada. It takes part of multiple days. I believe it's 9 days in the event, plus you have a prologue day. And each night, the two-woman team is camping at wherever they're at, the campsite, the campground, and they don't get their trucks at all. The trucks are taken away. So really are in the elements. They're called Team Brute Squad. You can find them on Instagram, and they post pictures from the event. Jill's going to write up an article on pickuptrucktalk.com later on today or next week, describing whether RHO is going to be more challenging than it's been in years past when they had the Hyundai Santa Cruz they were doing some off-roading with in the Rebelle Rally. Now, in this case, the Ram RHO gets the next different class, whole different parameters, lots of stuff going on there. We also will have some video from this event we do every year, and you'll see more of this RHO and how Jill experienced it and how well it holds up. I mean, this is a really big test for these vehicles, and sometimes there's some problems. Like they broke a control arm on the Hyundai Santa Cruz a couple years ago, and so Hyundai's made changes to the vehicle based on the testing grounds with the Rebelle Rally, and we anticipate the same thing happening this year. And yeah, Jill will be there October 10th and 19th. She will be lost in the desert or found in the desert or racing in the desert. Oh, excuse me. It's not racing, it's rallying. I get in trouble if I say racing. All right, let me add in my details on the Ram RHO I ordered for this channel. Anthony Boyce, who's my salesperson from Mark Dodge dealership there in Louisiana, markdodge.net, gave me the big discount. He was on the forum.pickuptrucktalk.com, discussing how there's actually 400 orders at his dealership for the Ram RHO. There are 81 right now in production through Ram that he can see on the screen, and none of them are mine. I've reached out to Ram PR, who told me they moved mine up the list somehow. How far I went up, I don't know, but that's the update I have, is that I don't have a build date. They are building them. There's a lot of orders, and I talked to Ram PR, and they said that they worked talked to manufacturing, and mine got moved up the list a little bit because timing's everything for me. I need this quickly to be one of the first few who owns one, has a YouTube channel. So just a business deal for me. So other news we talked about was GM trucks less safe than others according to Consumer Reports. So the article is on gmauthority.com, and it says comes to safety. People always tell me, well, I'm buying a truck. I don't care about safety. Well, safety is a huge part of truck buying um, decision making. And I see a lot of customers who do shop for safety as well because you're carrying your family. You want a safe vehicle. So according to study from Consumer Reports, some vehicles can be considered less safe than other vehicles due to their lack of accident avoidance technologies and road holding abilities in emergency situations. The Chevy Silverado 1500, Chevy Tahoe, GMC Sierra 1500, and GMC Yukon all received critiques related to low scores in Consumer Reports braking and emergency handling tests. What's interesting is if you look at these scores on the screen, emergency handling 3 out of 5, avoidance maneuver max speed 50, emergency braking 3 out of 5, or emergency handling and emergency braking different things. 0 to 60 to 0 braking test, 136 feet. About the similar stuff for the Tahoe and Yukon. As sorry, there was some noise there. As GM Authority points out, the competitors like the 2024 Ford F-150 and 2024 Ford Expedition have worse scores for handling, for braking, for max speed, and but yet they did okay. I'm gonna have to mute this. It's playing some sort of sound in the background. Sorry, I had to mute it. So the Ford F-150, the Ford Expedition, all have worse scores, yet they failed to make the list of the not so safe vehicles. The list is actually, unfortunately, it's blank. So you have to be a member to subscribe to get the list, and they don't show it. It was in the October of 2024 edition of the Consumer Reports magazine. So if you have that, you can unlock that and look at those rankings. But it kind of seems interesting. The Consumer Reports yet again went after GM trucks. I know my friends at Consumer Reports kind of get mad at me when I say this to them, but it definitely seems like they had an axe to grind with GM trucks. They declared the GM trucks a couple years ago as the least reliable full-size trucks on the marketplace, and now they're the least safe, even though their testing details seem to show a different story. I don't know what's up with that. So other news before we get to the website, I want to show this. I kind of teased it here for the guys watching the video, but Autoblog.com, my friends over at Autoblog.com, were informed a month ago that a venture capitalist site is going to take it over. They are going to fire the entire staff. They're all gone. All the full-time people are gone as of next Friday, and the freelance and people associate editor kind of jobs are gone as of today. So there's new. It's called the Arena Group. I guess the idea they can bring in a bunch of contractors and run this business a lot cheaper than what they're paying for now. But as we know it, Autoblog's been around for almost 20 years, and all the people that ran it, who've been there through that time period, are gone. And it's an unfortunate part of the business. And I don't know, with today's marketplace, freelance jobs are hard to get. Not a lot of outlets are hiring. Like I can't afford to hire anybody, and I'm not sure where these people will end up. So that is unfortunate. But I just gave you some behind the scenes. I just was thinking about it a lot today because I am glad I made a decision to start my own company years ago, because it just gets worse and worse for journalists out there. Let's check out the website on pickuptrucktalk.com. I have some stories for you this week. I did a updated version of the 2025 of premium fuel and trucks. Excuse me, talk more accurately. The article is the 2025 full-size trucks recommend or require premium fuel. And it's interesting, one of the caveats is going to be the Ford F-150. It does 87, unless you're doing something with it. Then you have to do more premium. So it's interesting. Details on that story. I'll try to do a YouTube short or something eventually with that information. Nissan Armada came out this last week. If you haven't seen the new styling of the Armada, much better. I think it's a little bit. It seems like a little bit shorter in the photos. I like the front end a little bit better. I have a new twin turbo engine in it, turbocharged engine. I believe it's twin turbo. I wrote the story. I should know this. Yeah, new twin turbo V6 engine. There's new Pro 4X trim. I think they did a really nice job in this Nissan Armada, and the interior looks, to me, a lot better. So I'd been fairly critical of the prior generation Armada, and I'm really excited to see what this one looks like whenever Jill and I get a chance to check it out. Also on the website, we have the details for the Ford trucks and SUVs recall. That's the one that has a 91,000 recall for catastrophic engine failure. What I did in this article, and that's people are checking it out, looking at analytics. You guys are reading the heck out of this thing. Is I actually copied and pasted the entire chronology report that is on NHTSA.gov for you guys to read through, and where they came up with the idea that was intake material was a problem, how they went through the investigation of it. It's really interesting stuff. And I'm really glad automakers share this, because it really gives you some behind the scenes saying, why did it take 2.5 years to get this recall to happen? Well, you can read through it. It takes a long time for them to really narrow down what happened, who, what, when, where, why. And it's interesting stuff there on that as well. And then we have Nissan Frontier. Starting price increases to $33,560. One thing that you'll notice that we do on our website that other outlets maybe not do is we actually include the destination fee in all the prices, because that's a destination fee you have to pay. There's no arguing that at dealerships. They don't let that's just the fee you have to have. So in our pricing chart, which I looked down the bottom, all those prices for the King Cab, 4x2, the Crew Cab, all kind of stuff, they all include the $1,510 destination fee. And what's interesting is they've expanded the amount of varieties you can get the 6-foot bed in with the Crew Cab. So it seems like that's a big hit for them. And so they have more varieties, 6-foot bed Crew Cab. And the top price for the Frontier, as I'm looking at the top price, Frontier SL Crew Cab 4x4 6-foot bed is $47,100. 120. So even though the starting price has got up to a little bit more than I think what some outlets have called more than the Ford Ranger, I think the pricing is still pretty good. I am working on a video coming out maybe this weekend. I'm going to shop for a new midsize truck. I want to replace my wife's vehicle. So I'll have some details for you as I start doing some shopping on what I want to see for the truck in my garage. So I want a midsize truck for the wife and a full-size truck for me. That's what I want to do. So over on the YouTube channel, we have some updates for you there as well. We have the Toyota Land Cruiser. I went towing with it and had a bunch of error messages and things. And I said in the video how error messages with a trailer, error messages with I couldn't use cruise control, just kind of frustrating as heck. Well, guess what? I have a Lexus GX in my driveway, and guess what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to call my friend Corey. I'm going to set up some time. We're going to go tow with this and see what kind of error message we have. I think that the Land Cruiser did really well, but it's just the error messages and things were so annoying. It caused me so much going on. And you have to understand, I said in the video, I was kind of shaken by the experience. People were like, well, you weak, you dummy, why would you be shaken? Guys, you tried to hold the camera, go max towing, and understand what's going on in the vehicle, and trying to clear the error messages all while you're filming. It's not that easy. And so it wasn't a very pleasant experience because of all the stuff going on surrounding that towing experience. And somebody said, well, you should have done the trip, towed, then came back and then did it again. It took me 4 hours to get the truck and the trailer put on there, and I broke my GoPro mount, had to buy a new one. I had to get everything loaded up, had to do the test, had to film it all. Like, I don't have 8 hours, 10 hours a day every day to film. I have family responsibilities in business. So sorry if you're disappointed with that, but that's the best I could do with that. And I can't wait to get the GX and try it again. Let me see if the error message is the same. Have they addressed those? Is it not have they addressed it, but is the 7-pin connector going to work a little bit better? I really want to know what's going on. We also have Jill was in California looking at the new Volvo EX90. It's a new 3-row EV SUV, which is interesting enough. Volvo just announced yesterday they're pulling back their plans to go all EV by 2030. Due to changing market conditions and lack of infrastructure. And yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Sorry to cuss like, but it's like, come on, guys. Like, why'd you do these mandates? You knew they weren't going to work. Then you just made people upset at you, and now you're like, oh, well, and titles or stories like Volvo's the latest company to pull back their full EV pledge. Well, yeah, because you're a company. You have to take care of the. If you can't build stuff in the vacuum, people need to buy it. That's how business works. We have Jill's first look at the 2025 Hyundai Tucson. Then we have my very blurry image, which TRD John texted me. He's like, did you make this that blurry? Yeah, I did. I got your attention. He goes, yeah, I did. Damn it. I had a viewer reach out, want to know what the most bare bones cheap new trucks was. And I did a video for him. Actually, and he did follow up with an email saying that he almost took out a deer and needed to buy a truck even faster. So fortunately, he avoided that situation. But yeah, so interesting video. I'm surprised that the number of bare bones trucks out there are actually more than I thought. And the price of full-size trucks is not that expensive when you actually dig into it. And then we have the video I did on the massive recall with the 2.7 liter and 3.0 liter engines with the catastrophic engine failure. That video seems like it's doing pretty well. People want to know more about that, and they want to. It is interesting from my viewpoint in that recall. I'm getting a lot of comments about how this is the fault of the turbocharged engine. The turbo is causing the problems, and I'm like, but it's metal shavings coming off of the engine intake. So I'm a little bit mystified by that, making a connection. I know there's a lot of anti-turbo crowd out there and a lot of pro-turbo crowd. Blame the turbos, I guess, but I'm going to blame the supplier who made the metal so hard that it became brittle and fell in the combustion chamber. And the thing that I would tell you is there's over like 100 suppliers in every truck. And that's why when you look at the sticker on the side of your door of your truck, it doesn't say this truck was built in. It says truck assembled in. And GM and other people, they call them plants, but they also call them assembly plants because they're assembling the number of parts that are coming from a variety of suppliers and putting them in the vehicle. And that's how I see it. And these parts from suppliers, yeah, it could be a problem. And so this supplier for the intake valve went on their own and made the metal tougher. And then they realized it would actually make it more brittle and fall in the engine. So even though the 2.7 and 3.0 liter, they've been out for a while, right? And the Broncos and things have been out for years. Well, they didn't find this out until they finally had enough catastrophic engine failures to put 2 and 2 together. So I don't know. It just seems like one of those things where This is just a thing. A supplier made a mistake, forced up at the plate. They can replace the engines if they see them as catastrophic engine failure, or they see them as a not passing the engine test. And I don't know. It's interesting, the turbo comments. So comments down below. Where are you at with this? Is it the fault of the turbo? Is not the fault of the turbo? I'm trying to understand more of the thinking behind this, and understand more of the rationale from the guys on this viewpoint. So that's what we have for you this week on this truck news recap. Make sure to check out the other, I don't know, let's say truck news recaps. There's a good idea. They're probably in the podcast listening down below. Also up here in the video in the corner. Well, I'll put the playlist for truck news recaps. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.